على أبوابي على أبوابي يا زمان.
Okay, let's do this one more time. You are advised to take a cup of tea while watching this video. In April 1974, somewhere in south of Lebanon, near the Israeli border, a man liked to drink coffee in his balcony, one during the mornings and one during the evenings, enjoying the mesmerizing scenes in front of the South Lebanese forests. And one day, three young-looking men passed by his balcony. They greeted him, said nothing else, and they continued their way into the forest. And during his evening coffee, they went back. They greeted him, and they said nothing else, and they went away. He thought that they just appreciated the forest and nothing else. However, the next day, the three young men returned around the same hour in the morning. They again said hi, went to the forest, and went back in the evening, said hi, and then they disappeared. The second time made him think that they are maybe hunters or new neighbors. But then it happened again the next day, exactly during his coffee hours. And then the next day until it was a routine of him just saying hi and greeting back again and saying nothing else. They weren't rude or anything, they smiled every time, but he felt like they didn't want to have a conversation. Even though the man wanted to ask them what they are doing, to where they are going, from where they are leaving, but he felt like it just wasn't his business, and maybe he didn't want to know. He never even asked about their names. And one day he drank his morning coffee again, the men came, greeted him, left, and he thought that it would be the same routine again. However, during the night, they never came back. It felt like they just disappeared. Maybe the wolves have eaten them. So he waited the next morning while drinking his coffee and reading his newspaper. He did see them in the morning, but not on the road. Instead, in the headlines of his newspaper. The headline is a picture of the three men. Undoubtedly, these are them. And for the first time, he finally knew their names. Munir al-Maghribi, or Abu Khalid, he is Palestinian. Ahmed al-Sheikh Mahmoud, Syrian from Aleppo. And Yasin Musa, or Abu Hadi, he is an Iraqi. Turns out that they smuggled into the forest across the Israeli border and into an Israeli settlement called Kiryat Shmona, a town near the Lebanese-Israeli border built over the ruins of Al-Khalsa village, which was completely destroyed and depopulated by the Zionists. The three men infiltrated into the village, going undetected for more than an hour. According to the sources, they seized an apartment building, took hostages after fighting an Israeli force. In order to give up the hostages, they demanded the freedom of 100 Palestinian resistance fighters. On top of their list, they demanded the freedom of the Japanese resistance fighter Kozo Okamoto. The Israeli response was an immediate decline. They took military action despite the risk for the hostages, because for the Israeli forces, crushing the Palestinian fighters was more valuable than saving the lives of their own people. Despite the fighters' warnings that they will detonate the entire building if they refuse, the Israelis refused to negotiate. And after 6 hours in continuous fighting in the building, the Palestinian fighters ran out of ammo and they had no other choice than to destroy everything. Reading all of this in his local newspaper, that man was left with a shocked face and a spilled coffee. But that man was no other than Talal Haidar, one of the Middle East's most renowned poets. And of course, this incident affected him so deeply and personally. He never felt this mixture of grief, anguish, torment, and reverence. Talal then wrote a beautiful poem, and it was turned into a song in 1979. And it was sang by no other than Fairuz. The timeless icon in Levantine culture and music. And I'm not done yet. It was composed by no other than Ziad al-Rahbani. Literally the best artists of the Middle East in that era. The highest profiles you can get for a piece of Arabic music. The song goes,
وحدهم بيبقوا مثل زهر البيلسات وحدهم بيقطفوا راء الزمان بيسكروا الغابة بيضلهم مثل الشتي يدقوا على بوابي.
Alone they remain like the elderberry flowers. Alone they harvest the leaves of time. They shut down the forest. They remain like winter, knocking on my doors. يا زمان يا عشب داشر فوق الحيطان ضويت ورد الليل عكتابي برج الحمام مسكر وعالي هج الحمام بقيت لحالي. Oh time, oh the weeds are spouting over these walls. I lit the rose of the night over my book. The dovecot is fenced and high. The pigeons fled. I remained alone, all alone. يا ناطرين التلج ما عاد بدكن ترجعوا صرخ عليهم بالشتاء يا ديب بلكي بيرجعوا. You who are waiting for the snow, don't you want to come back? I cry out for them in the winter in the hope that they listen. وحدن بيبقوا مثل هالغيم العتيق وحدن وجوهن وعتم الطريق عم يقطعوا الغابة وبإيدهم مثل الشتا يدقوا البكي وهن على بوابي. Alone they remain like these old clouds, alone their faces in the darkness of the roads. They're crossing the woods and their hands like the winter. They knock with their tears on my doors. يا زمان من عمر في العشب على الحيطان، من قبل ما صار الشجر عالي، ضوي اناديل وانطر اصحابي، مرقوا وفلوا بقيت عبابي لحالي. Oh time of the ages of the weeds shadow on these walls. From before when trees became tall, I light up the lanterns and wait for my friends. They passed by, they left. I stayed at my door all alone. This song, which is titled Wahdon All Alone, to this day is still a classic in Arabic music. Its calm, low pacing and indirect lyrics were different to the usual political song of that time. There was no direct mentioning of the fighters or the incident itself, just pure romanticization of the time and the place. From the story to the singers to the writer to the poet, everything about this song is perfect. And the most beautiful thing about this song is that it's not real. Don't understand me the wrong way. The fighters did actually infiltrate Israel. They did fight until the last breath. All of that was real, even according to Israeli sources. However, evidence suggests that Talal never met them. He actually wrote the poem in 1966 for the magazine of Al-Nahar, 8 years before the operation. This style of operations against Israel was not even a thing when he wrote his poem. Here's the exact piece in the magazine with a painting done by Rafiq Sharaf. You can see the dovecot and everything. The magazine didn't have the full poem, however we're not sure when he completed it. But why don't we just ask Talal himself? Well, Al Jazeera tried to do it. They asked him twice and he never gave them a definitive answer whether this poem is for the fighters or not. However, final research shows that the poem was never written exactly for these fighters. So it was the public's own speculation on who Talal and Fairuz meant, because the song itself is made after the operation, but the poem is before. Because of how it's well written, it feels deeply personal, like Talal actually had an experience with something. So the public started assuming that he actually met them. And seems like the lyrics themselves are actually connected to the story. The idea of feeling alone after someone goes away suddenly and never comes back, it feels connected to those people. So somebody created the story of Talal being in his balcony with his coffee, seeing the three people and all of that, and everybody felt like it's very believable. And apparently Talal never bothered to correct anyone. My tea is cold. Why didn't he? Well, there may be two main reasons. One is that the main purpose of that poem is to actually link it to someone that you miss. When you actually imagine someone personal to yourself, then Talal's goal is achieved. So if the public links the song to those three fighters, who is he to correct them? It's gonna destroy the entire goal of the poem itself. So denying or confirming the story actually kills the magic of the song. This is where Talal's geniusness comes, or maybe because of Ziad al-Rahbani's company. Maybe he signed something about the poem that made him not talk about it to this level or correct anyone, because in the end, it's made the song more famous. Unfortunately, Ziad al-Rahbani passed away this summer, and he truly deserves a whole documentary for his legacy, but we can't get through that now. Now, let's discuss what happened right after the operation. The Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine adopted the operation, introducing a new way of resistance that was never seen before. The strategy of going to a place, taking hostages, and demanding the release of other fighters was adopted quickly between various resistance groups, that it sparked a number of similar operations. And after this operation, 40% of Kiryat Shmona left the town. From Israel's part of the story, they denied that they even took hostages, and they just killed everyone they saw, and also denied that the fighters demanded the freedom of 100 other fighters. It was more like 3 terrorists trying to kill as much people as they can, and then they barricaded themselves inside an apartment building. So during the exchange of fire, their bag of explosives that had RPGs blew up. And that's it. Now let's forget about the part where why would anyone trap himself in an apartment building? The misinformation about this narrative is RPGs do not explode if you shoot at them. Neither TNT, neither RDX. You can't just shoot at explosives. This is just a blatant lie to cover up the fact that they refused to negotiate with them. They chose to keep 100 fighters behind bars than the lives of 18 of their own people. This was everything. I hope you liked the unexpected plot twist, if you can say that. Let me know if you want me to talk about anything about Arabic culture or politics. This was Mustafa Darwish, and see you in the next one.